Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to offer dana, then please do go to justthiszen.org/giving. Your support really does make a huge difference. Thank you so much.
Well, I got up this morning, went down to get a cup of tea. It was sort of a bit like walking into a kind of ant's nest. There was all this activity. You know, people were getting things ready and tables were being sorted and people were getting their bodies ready for the day as best they could. And it was like they were sort of walking into a village of loveliness. And I felt really touched by the energy and effort that everyone's brought to our days together. And there's parts of me is like, oh, thank God. It's Thursday. I'm sure none of you are thinking that. Well, my body is thinking that, if not my spirit at all. It's gone so quickly and so slowly. I often think being on retreat is a little bit like being with very young children. You know, that the hours are eternities and the days are minutes. And I have that same feeling when I'm on retreat. It's like, it's only a few days since Flint left, but is that like years or minutes? It's something weird happens with time. Oh, take your time. And in the light of that, walking down into the kitchen this morning, everywhere I look, I see care being taken. Right? Care's being taken of the flowers and the zendo and the shoes and the cooking and the ordering, and as best we can, we have been a community of care for the last 5 days. And Flint tells a lovely story about Todd, one of the teachers at Appamada, who's kind of sort of high up in some corporate world or other. And he'd spent some time on retreat, you know, taking care. As we do, you know, suddenly moving your chair becomes a thing you want to do fairly carefully, or putting your clothes away, or if you have one now, folding your rakasu, or just that care. And Todd reported that when he went back to his office, you know, and he was getting his desk set up, he suddenly noticed, you know, it was being set up like an altar. Like this is Appamada, diligent care. And I would really invite you to come in. So I would really invite you all to gently carry forward that spirit of care. It's very easy when we plunge back into our various different worlds to let it go. But there are the small things that we can do, just taking care of mundane, ordinary things, putting a cup down or picking up a toothbrush or whatever it is. Okay, you know, we can carry on the spirit of care in community. And just think I often think of the end of a retreat being a bit like someone banging a big blob of mercury, you know, and all the little things, all the little globules of mercury go scattering off into their different places. But they all are the same thing. And we all come back together and make this thing together. This doesn't happen without every single person in this room. It doesn't happen this way without every single person here and not here. I've been, Flint has sent me, as I said yesterday, some things, and we had planned when we were planning our talks that we would kind of dance together with our talk. So I've got the dancing version of Flint here, so some of his words to share as well. He's holding us close in his heart, so I know he's still close for me. And I wanted to start today with a very, very short poem, so don't fall asleep, you'll miss it. Blink and you might miss it. Which is such a good way of saying perhaps that's the whole Dharma talk. Blink and you could miss it. It's by Rosemary Watola Troma. Because you, me. Because you, me. Because you, me. Because of all the yous that you are, I'm here being the me I am at this moment. We're in an extraordinary dance of co-creation. The me that can turn up here is the me that can turn up here because of all the yous that have turned up here. The different things that we've been able to offer each other over the course of these days, the care we've taken. I don't know what it's like for you, but something gets called forward in me. It's like I might arrive and, all the arriving stuff, and then something in our practice, that resonance that I kind of spoke about yesterday, allows something to move forward. Often despite our rather noisy mind chatter, something still comes forward. Something that's yearning to come forward. I think I've had several conversations in Dokusan where what I've been saying is, we work on ourselves, we work on our minds, we work on our self-responsibility, but the thing that wants to happen is nothing to do with us. The thing that does happen is nothing to do with us. It's life. It's life just yearning for itself. And this setting can often allow just that sense of something comes forward. When I said yesterday, realization can mean that sense of completion. And I know for me, often what happens on retreat is not the thing that I kind of carry forward. Like something is set in motion, and in the days and weeks or months that follow, something else it feels like this is kind of like an engine. Do you know what I mean? This gets the big flywheel going. But then as we go away, it can feel like things keep unfolding. And often we need our spiritual friends to do that, to keep coming to sanghas, to keep turning up, to keep your sitting practice, just to find a way to allow that to keep moving. And we chant every day, every time we meet, life the only teacher. And some of us have had really unfortunate experiences of teachers, and it's like it can come with a really admonishing finger, that'll teach you, and it can often feel like life is trying to teach us by beating us up, by crumbling us, by making life really hard, and there's something about, how do we find a way to allow the Dharma gates to be our friends, even when they're nearly always around vulnerability. They're nearly always around not knowing. They're nearly always around mess and despair. But life isn't trying to teach us like that kind of, you bad person, now do better. It's like, here, try this. Here, what can you do right now? What might your habit energy want to do? And what might be an appropriate response? And we'll keep messing up. I'm certainly working on that one. So I think it's really hard to reconcile. For some of us, some of us sit in a slightly easier place, but for some of us, the idea that we're sitting in a formless field of benefaction, does that sit easy for everyone? Like, the world is just glorious and it's a formless field of benefaction and everything's marvellous. And it isn't. Buddha's noble truth, life has suffering in it. A good life has suffering in it. A difficult life has suffering in it. An easy life has suffering in it. A really bloody hard trudge of a life has suffering in it. And he points to the ways out of the suffering. There's a lovely teacher called Sri Nisargadatta, some of you may know. He says, to divide and particularize is the mind's very nature. There is no harm in dividing, but separation goes against fact. Separation goes against fact. Isn't that a fascinating idea? I'm sitting here, he's sitting there, what's a fact? But separation goes against fact. The me that sits here because of the him that sits there. Every day. Every day we are a confluence of everything that's happening to us. All of the causes and conditions around us. Things and people are different, but they are not separate. Things and people are different, but they are not separate. Nature is one, reality is one. There are opposites, but no opposition. There are many polarities held within the same formless field. And our sitting practice and the Dharma are endlessly, repetitively setting up this resonance to break down our sense of separation. That feeling you can have of your world crumbling as you sit here? It's like, yay! About bloody time! Because the construct is the thing that's not fully real. It has its own reality, but it's not fully real. To quote Nisargadatta again, he says, wisdom tells me I'm nothing, love tells me I'm everything, and between the two my life flows. Those are the banks of the river. They're the banks of the river of our practice, wisdom and love. And between those our life flows. And when I'm in my wise, leaning into my wise bit of the bank, I can see the tiny portion of the universe that I occupy. I'm a moment, I'm just a moment, a fragment in space and time. That thing, it touches down, oh, here's a Trudy for a little while. And then it won't be. Won't be. I'm a literal speck on the planet and in time. And yet, here we are in our soft bodies and our beating hearts and our crazy minds, having the opportunity to experience it. And that's the gift we get from life, is here's the opportunity to experience life fully. Life knows life through our life. Buddha nature knows Buddha nature through our Buddha nature. We're kind of needed to be here experiencing all of this for life to experience itself. And we matter, we really do. We're very small and incredibly insignificant, and we matter. And how we live matters, and the threads we knit together and the thoughts and actions are all part of that warp and weft. Every single bit. We are making the universe together. So it's pretty important. And it's also not important at all. We're all of it. There's a poem by Ellen Bass, which I love. It's called The Thing Is to love life, to love it even when you have no stomach for it, and everything you've held dear crumbles like burnt paper in your hands, and your throat fills with the silt of it. When grief sits with you, its tropical heat thickening the air, heavy as water, more fit for gills than lungs. When grief weights you like your own flesh, only more of it, an obesity of grief, you think, how can a body withstand this? Then you hold life like a face between your palms, a plain face, no charming smile, no violet eyes, and you say, yes, I will take you. I will love you again. To hold life like a face between your palms, a plain face, no charming smile, no violet eyes, and you say, yes, I will take you. I will love you again. And this is the invitation in all the threads we're weaving all the time. Can we say, no matter the apparent mess of the cloth we seem to be part of, can I say yes to this? Can I say yes to this, my life, as it looks right now? Right now. No other place, no other time, this. So when Flint was flying high above the ocean, I think our whole Sangha travelling on the plane with him, I don't know what the people in the other seats thought, he sent a quote from Katagiri Roshi. And Katagiri made the following statement, which seems to accord with what I was emphasising with Kim, as he was talking about yesterday, and what I'm calling you into here. He was thinking of us at that moment, what I'm calling you into here. If you totally accept the energy of your life force, you can use it to embark on a new life from now on. How? This is the main point of Buddhist teaching. To take care of your life is to burn the flame of your life force in everything you do. Even if it's a little flickering candle, he's not talking about it having to be a flamethrower. It's like just the little light you have, whatever size that is, to burn it in everything you do. Go deep into your own life. From that place, you can join the flow of life, living in harmony with all beings and walking together hand in hand. This is another way of pointing to the true spirit of practice, in which you're accepting the energy of your life force and all of its manifestations, so you can use that energy to join the flow of life more fully, to live diligently and harmoniously with all beings, as we walk together with a bit of dignity, uprightness, kindness and care. Katagiri continued, if you depend on Dharma, pure energy will arise and appear in your everyday life. It will illuminate your life because the original energy of Buddha is alive within you. It isn't some other place. Buddha nature isn't some polished place in the future. It's this, however you're sitting, bemused, confused, delighted, tired. That's it. There isn't any other place. That energy gives forth its own light, shining from your whole body, which others can see. Don't we see it in each other? Don't you see that care and diligence and love? It's really hard often to see it in ourselves. So it's great that we've got other people we can see it in, and they can see it in us. And that's one of the resonances that comes forth when we sit together. Before you have doubt or pessimism, you are already here. That's what Katagiri says. Before you have doubt or pessimism, you are already here. That kind of sits on top. You exist right in the middle of reality, which means your life is fully alive right now. Whatever it feels like. Right now. And Flint shared with us his version of the Heart Sutra just before he left. And here's the beginning again. Avalokiteshvara, the embodiment of compassion, who helps all to awaken, lives in the deep energy stream of transmitting the light that shines through infinity. We're transmitting the light that shines through infinity. And we're needed to do that. Otherwise it's not seen. I was once at the Yorkshire Sculpture Park, a beautiful place if you've been fortunate enough to go there, and they have changing exhibitions. And one of the exhibitions was one of the outside buildings, which is a small chapel, which had been completely covered in mirror tile inside, and there were windows coming in, and so the light was just coming in and hitting the room like you were living inside a prism, not a prison. That's what we do anyway. So like it's just this light was splintering all over the place, and I wrote this poem because it was dazzling and kind of unexpected to see light made visible. A mirrored room splintered light into transient rainbows. Like postcards from emptiness, they arrived and left with no return address. Swirls and lightning, flashes of colour, caught all of our attention, and then the clouds came, and the light once again became its quiet, transparent self. Often we only see dust motes as they dance and drift in an errant beam of light, showing what is always there, but often not noticed, the rainbow colours inherent in our sunlight. Danced into passing visibility. I often think when we're here, something in us, that Buddha nature dances into visibility because of the way that we are all holding each other in the container we create. Suzuki Roshi was once asked by his American students, what do you see and he said, I see Buddha until you open your mouths. And what comes out of our mouths is our conditioned selves, and what lives and what is there is our Buddha nature. When I can fully embrace my smallness, when I can really sit with the speck of time that I am, somehow infinity beckons. Something allows my sitting to be a mirror of everything. And what becomes visible is the light that shines through everything. We are the light that shines. And honestly, when I saw the people coming up for Jukai, they were like little beams. It was just the most exquisite thing to be able to sit in front and just see the light that was shining through eternity. The care and the love. How whatever you were feeling inside, whether you were feeling ridiculous, embarrassed, wonderful, whatever it was, you were shining. And it was very beautiful. Flint's rewrite of the Heart Sutra continues. You can see that all the various streams of body, heart and mind can be unburdened and free from exile. All the various streams of body, heart and mind can be unburdened and free from exile. It's like we talk about that, we're all walking each other home. Our practice is walking every part of ourselves home. Every single part of ourselves that can be here. Which is all of it. The mess and the magnificence, the regrets and the pride, the sorrow and the joy, all of it. And that means no hindrances. All parts really are radically welcome. Nothing is separate. Nothing is separate. Again from Flint flying home. To practice is to open yourself up to everything you see as the embodiment of the truth. The practice is to open yourself up to everything you see as the embodiment of the truth. That's Suzuki Roshi. Flint says, at first glance this statement might appear straightforward, the usual Zen teaching. Everything is the embodiment of truth. Yeah, yada yada. The practice is continuously open yourself to life as you see it, as the teacher, the manifestation of Buddha. But if you stay with Suzuki Roshi's message, you will find this is actually astonishing. And this astonishment emerges more clearly as we begin to better understand what it takes us to open ourselves up in the way being named. What does it take to let go of the armouring of your heart? What does it take to let go of the fear of truly being all of yourself? To imagine that's welcome, to imagine that has a place in the world. Every single bit of you is welcome. This is actually what we ask of ourselves on longer retreats, such as this one, in which we confront the same mundane activities, the repetitive schedule, the familiar surroundings, and the same people each day, and have the opportunity to consider it as the embodiment of truth. This might seem unlikely, if not impossible, to find the ordinary so profound, but it is not. You may be discovering that such an opening through embodiment requires the diligent commitment of physical, mental and spiritual energy. Just to follow the schedule can be challenging. To continue to say yes when it would be easier to say no. How many of you felt that? Oh, God. Some version of, oh, sweet Jesus, not again. Oh, they're twitching, they're moving, they're coughing, they've not put the tea out properly, someone's eaten the last banana, whatever it is. And we are all moving in that push-pull, that yes-no dance. And maybe here's the opportunity again and again to just notice our preferences. Not long after this retreat, Josh and I, and some of the other people sitting here, will be back here for the last Hakomi residential that I'm offering. So it's our seventh Hakomi residential, and we'll be back in a few weeks. Dear Lord. And I'm really intrigued, and we've both noticed, because Josh has been involved with the food for both the residential and the retreat. And when we complete the menu for the retreat, people say what is harmful for them. And on the residential, people tell us what their preferences are. And it's very interesting. And they both have their validity. There's a wonderfulness in knowing what suits us and what works for us. And here on retreat, we're kind of being invited to say, I know your preference would be to stay in bed for longer, but don't. I know your preference would be to not have soup for lunch again. I know, whatever it is, we meet our preferences. And we get the chance to not follow our habit energy. That's what the invitation is. Notice your habit energy, and maybe don't follow it every time. Maybe give something else a go. And of course, you know, we had a long discussion in a group after Josh shared a talk about saying yes, and people got a little twisted about, you know, if someone asked me to give me all my money, you know, do I have to say yes? And it's like, it's really fine to have boundaries. It's really good. What we're being invited to say yes to is our lives as they are. Life as it is. Life in the whole world. We have a pretty easy time of saying yes to our very privileged lives. There's a lot that's easy for us to say yes to. Food and beauty and safety. It's pretty damn easy here. However hard it feels. There are a lot of places where it's really hard to say yes to life as it is. When I met with someone in inquiry, we were exploring how the precepts might support them to make a choice about right action and how we move forward with heart and intention when there are so many factors to consider. And Flint offers us something from his perspective of being with the very difficult layered decision of whether to stay or go. He says, this is part of what I encountered in trying to determine whether to stay in retreat or return home. What is the true spirit of practice in this case? What is in the highest good service of the Dharma? What will relieve the most suffering? And at the same time, I need to check to determine if my actions may cause more suffering. How do I embody the truth imperfectly but wholeheartedly in this situation? What a great question for any of us at any juncture in our lives. You know, how do I embody the truth imperfectly but wholeheartedly in this situation? I eventually made a decision with your generous support. In doing so, you helped me remember, he needed reminding, that we're all ordinary human beings, practicing with these everyday activities, making difficult decisions, yet expressing the extraordinary potential of life energy if we are willing to maintain constancy and the true spirit of practice. We're all ordinary human beings with messy lives and difficult decisions. And if you're not, please leave the room now because you don't need this. We're all in the midst of our lives. Every single one of us. So for me, there's this sense as, practice will not roll out some magic carpet that'll whisk us into some trouble-free future, but it gives us a container, and oddly the container is the formless field that allows us to give it our best shot. As Josh said, give it your best shot, knowing we will be imperfect. Just as I know this talk today is my best shot today. It's the one I can do, it's the one I can offer from everything that's happened so far. I can sit and I can offer you this, and I can be having all the internal questions that I have, is this enough? Is it my one? Is it too much? Have I served my teacher? Have I represented what he means to me in this? Have I been able to carry his spirit forward? All of those things. And I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to give it my best shot. And we've had Vimalakirti with us, the chair in our circle the whole time. It's very funny because when you actually read the longer piece of Vimalakirti's sutra, he doesn't want a chair. Which amused me no end. He got one. And it's embodying, the emptiness and the throngs of beings who aren't here with us. There are people who are still alive but unable to be with us, Catherine and Lynn and Maria and all of the other people in our sanghas and our treasured people who haven't been able to come. Blanche sits here, Joko sits here, Suzuki Roshi, Dogen, Meister Eckhart made an appearance. Mary Oliver, Wendell Berry, Alan Bass. The people who aren't here with us, Carrie and Ginny and Martin and Suzanne. Michael, and they're also here with us. And the chair is apparently empty, and yet it's so full of the 32,000 beings who support you every day. Every day. Once when I was in Switzerland some while ago, I was busy, doing my usual number of feeling like basically what the fuck during sitting. What's this about? Why? Why am I sitting with my friends and not talking to them? And our dear friend Carrie at that time was struggling with the late stages of her cancer. And she was so dignified and upright. She'd got lymphedema in her arm from the treatment, and we did kinhin with her arm resting on one of our shoulders so that she could walk around. It was beautiful to be with her. And the day was really clear and bright, and it was precious, and something that I had nothing to do with was trying to crack open. Something. And I walked into the small hallway, and Flint just stopped right in front of me, and he said, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas across space and time are waiting for you. And I knew. In that moment, it was completely true. In that moment, it was nothing to do with me. It was just completely true. And of course, I'll keep forgetting, as we all do. That's why we keep practicing. It's called practice for a reason. E. Cummings has a lovely little poem saying, which I love, which is, "Oh, humanity, I love you. You keep finding the secret of life and putting it in your back pocket and sitting on it." And then wondering, where is it again? How true. We keep sitting on the truth we already have, and we keep looking for it as though it was lost. Flint goes on to say, in the Jukai ceremony on Monday, Josh gave voice to a scripted line that always touches me. It comes after we chant the refuges. You have returned to your original nature, free from attachment and limited ways. From now on, awakening is your teacher. Buddha is your teacher. All beings are your teacher. Do not be fooled any longer. This is the path of mercy for all existence. It's that phrase, that last phrase, the path of mercy for all existence, which stops me. The first part of what he read reflects what I have already been emphasizing. Stated in my words, Flint's words, Zazen is the embodied return to our original nature. This return opens us up to the potential for the realization and expression of truth, rather than being stuck in limited views. Each moment is our teacher. All beings can be seen as teachers. We hope to remember this and not be confused. Is it true that this leads us down a path of mercy for all existence? What does it mean? What does that even mean? Where is practice leading us? More than 10 years ago, Flint is still saying, at Broadhow, a lovely home in the Lake District, here we sat together in retreat. Mark Gray, some of us know, who's now living back in his home country of New Zealand, asked me a question following a Dharma talk. Mark was fearless in asking blunt, confrontative and very clear questions. He said very simply, what is Zazen? What came out of my mouth before I could think was, forgiving yourself for being yourself. Zazen is forgiving yourself for being yourself. On reflection, I can now hear in my response the path of mercy. Taking care of our posture and our breath is the embodiment of mercy. Trusting what we can't comprehend and giving our lives for it. Trusting what we can't comprehend and giving our lives for it is the path of mercy. It is wearing the universal teaching. Can we become both river and riverbed? Place to be that supports others to enter the merciful ocean of Buddha's way. I'm having a very strange experience. I don't know whether I'm reading Flint's words or mine. So, somebody wrote this. Oh, this one's me. Weirdsville. Okay. Can we become both river and riverbed and be a place that supports others to enter the merciful ocean of Buddha's way? We say that, don't we? The merciful ocean of Buddha's way. Can we offer ourselves the mercy we offer others? Some of us find it so easy to offer mercy to others, to see compassion, to see Buddha in others, and really struggle to see it in ourselves. I remember a couples therapist once saying, what happens if you imagine that someone, and in this case they were talking about a partner, is acting from the best intention? What happens if you think that this person is acting from the best intention? What might happen, what might shift in you if you think this person is acting from the best intention? Not just the other. This person is acting from the best intention. What might shift in you if you think this person is doing their best? This person is doing what they can. For a long while after the birth of my twin grandsons and my great-grandson, my mantra was, I'm doing my best. Sometimes it's not very good. I'm doing my best and sometimes it's not very good. And over time I changed it because I didn't want to sort of feel like that kind of earnest girl guide, dib doing my best. So I changed it to I'm doing what I can, and sometimes it's not enough. I'm doing what I can, and sometimes it's not enough. And that felt like a really liberating truth. So can I offer that to the world? Can you offer that to yourself? You're doing your best, you're doing what you can, and sometimes it's not enough. Because it won't be. Because, believe it or not, we can't fix the world. We're doing what we can, and sometimes it's not very much. We can all swim in the river of mercy. Flint quotes the Christian teacher Friar Richard Rohr as one of the best descriptions of Zazen. So he's a lovely teacher if you've come across him, Richard Rohr. There is something in you that is not touched by coming and going, by up and down, by for or against, by the raucous teams of totally right or totally wrong. Do you have those raucous teams? There is a part of you that does not rush to judgment. Rather, it stands vigilant and patient in the tragic gap that almost every moment offers. It stands vigilant and patient in the tragic gap that almost every moment offers. It is a riverbed of mercy. Aside from sounding more like Dogen than a Christian scholar, that final sentence does it for me again. That's Flint. Practice opens us up as a riverbed of mercy. Not the river of mercy, but the riverbed of mercy, the container, the path, the place carved out by mercy for all existence. I think it may be one of the best descriptions of what practice does to us that I have ever encountered. That we become the riverbed, the ocean bed of mercy. Flint's final, for now, are reflections about the deep practice of grief and love. In Inquiry, I talked about the story of the woman who lost her child and wanted Buddha to use his magic powers. Buddha had magic powers, by the way. Don't let anybody tell you different. To bring her baby back to life. The Buddha told her to find 3 tiny mustard seeds, one from each household. They were in every household. One from each household and touched by loss and grief. She returns empty-handed and hands her life to the Buddha. What happens when we realize the inescapability of loss? Can we begin to find freedom in embracing how transient things are? We're here, and we won't be here. There'll be a whole different group occupying this space, doing completely different things. The bluebells will go over, the wild garlic will go, the blossom will fall off the trees, swallows will return home. Everything will change. Our lovely pop-up zendo will be dismantled and returned to this ordinary dining room, and other groups will be here making something else. When Sheldon is no longer our zendo, and you take your rakusu off, and you get up off the cushion, are you still practicing? What continues? What continues? What continues when Flint isn't here? What continues when your beloved partner isn't here? What continues when the people you care about are really no longer here? And are they no longer here? That's also, I'm so aware of who's sitting on that chair. Flint quotes an article by Susan Murphy. He says, the article is titled, "Why Love What You Will Lose?" What a great question. Why love what you will lose? She says, we are born and live and die by the grace of impermanence. We are born and live and die by the grace of impermanence. By what other name can we call this unending change and transformation in which nothing lasts? Louise Gluck takes impermanence head-on in her poem from the Japanese, asking, why love what you will lose? The very next line becomes a koan that breaks the word love open into hot, bright coals. What else is there to love? Why love what you will lose? What else is there to love? This is the heart, the hearth, the crucible of practice. Can we love what we will lose? Which includes, of course, ourselves. Can be our loss of capacity, strength, maybe even our minds. We will lose the people we love. We will lose the places we love. Everything will change. Everything is already changing. Can we stay steadfastly loving as the gales of life strip away the roles and designations we've lived by? Can we stand upright in that riverbed of mercy, being the riverbed of mercy for others as well as ourselves? From Vimalakirti's chair, which he didn't want, Flint leaves you with this, one of my very favourite poems. It's called Late Fragment by Raymond Carver. And did you get what you wanted from this life even so? I did. And what did you want? To call myself beloved, to feel myself beloved upon the earth. And did you get what you wanted from this life even so? I did. And what did you want? To call myself beloved, to feel myself beloved on the earth. And prayer from Galway Kinnell. Whatever happens, what is what I want. Only that, but that. Whatever happens, whatever is what I want. Only that, but that. And I'll leave you now with this. Life flows as the great life force, the universal resonance that wants us to wake up to what and who we truly are. Because you, me, because you, me.